Please, somebody help my little girl. Adrian Valdez whispered into the darkness, his voice barely holding together. But the only answer was the same piercing scream that tore through the mansion halls every night, raw, terrified, and echoing off marble floors polished to a faultless shine. From the outside, the Valdez estate in Polano looked like perfection sculpted into reality. Floodlit fountains shimmered like liquid diamonds. The gardens were so meticulously manicured they could have been painted. Stone lions guarded the doorway like silent sentinels, and the marble staircases shone under golden chandeliers. But the walls that glittered with expensive art were useless against the horror that ruled inside. Every night, same time, same scream, and it always belonged to his daughter. Luciana, my baby. Adrian's hands trembled as he pushed open the heavy oak door leading to the west wing. It groaned loudly, like even the house knew what waited beyond. He could feel the eyes of his security guards trailing him, but they knew better than to follow. No one entered the west wing except him, or the doctors, or the women who never stayed long enough to become anything more than hired help, because they all quit after one night. And who could blame them? Luciana Valdez was 8 years old. She had been born perfect. And then, 3 years ago, everything shattered. The first scream had happened on her 5th birthday. Since then, she had never spoken again. Adrian stopped at the end of the hallway, where a small night light shaped like a moon flickered. Luciana's favorite. She had picked it out when she was 4, insisting it looked like the one she and her mother used to watch from the balcony. His throat tightened. He reached for the doorknob. A sharp, terrified cry burst from inside, so sharp it felt like a knife dragging up his spine. Adrian didn't hesitate. He shoved the door open. "Sweetheart, Daddy's here." Luciana sat curled on her bed, knees to her chest, shaking violently. Her tiny fingers dug into the blanket, knuckles pale. Her long, dark curls stuck to her tear-streaked face. But it was her eyes, wide, glassy, haunted, that crushed him most. She wasn't looking at him. She was staring at the corner. The same corner she always looked at when the screams began. "Daddy." She mouthed silently, but no sound came out. Adrian rushed to her side, pulling her gently into his arms. She clung to him instantly, her small body trembling. "It's okay, mi cielo. You're safe." "I'm right here," he whispered, though his voice shook. But he knew the truth. She wasn't safe. He couldn't protect her. Not from something he couldn't see, couldn't understand, couldn't fight. Another episode? Dr. Vullis asked quietly from behind him. Adrian hadn't noticed the man entering. The doctor wore tired eyes behind thin spectacles and carried a clipboard filled with notes that had stopped meaning anything months ago. Adrian didn't answer. He just rocked Luciana gently until her trembling slowly faded. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Finally, her breathing steadied and her small hands loosened from his shirt, but she still kept her eyes on that corner, as though something still stood there, watching. Dr. Vullis cleared his throat. "Sir, I have to be honest. We don't have a medical explanation for this. She's not schizophrenic. She's not epileptic. It's not trauma-induced mutism. We've done every scan, every test." "So you're saying my daughter screams every night for no reason? That she stares into that same corner? Because what? She's bored." Adrian snapped. The doctor bowed his head. "I'm saying we've reached our limits." Adrian felt his anger collapse into helplessness. He brushed a curl from Luciana's forehead. "I'm losing her," he whispered. "No," the doctor said gently. "You're doing everything you can. But perhaps you should consider bringing someone else in. Someone with different training. A psychiatrist? A spiritual healer? A priest? Who? Exactly. Do you think I haven't already called?" Adrian whispered bitterly. Dr. Vullis hesitated. "Not that kind of specialist. I meant someone who can communicate with a child who no longer speaks. Someone fluent in—" A soft tapping interrupted him. Both men turned. Luciana's tiny hand was hitting the bed frame rhythmically. Tap, tap, tap. She didn't look at them. She stared into empty space, tapping faster. Harder. Desperate. Is she trying to say something? Adrian breathed. "That's what I was leading to," the doctor said. She's using a pattern, possibly a form of tap, 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 tap. Luciana's breathing sped up. Sweat beaded her forehead. Her lips moved in silent panic as she made frantic gestures with her hands. Small, jerky motions that looked accidental at first. Then suddenly, her fingers formed a shape, a deliberate shape, a sign. Adrian blinked. What is she doing? Dr. Valesa's voice trembled. Mr. Valdez, your daughter is using sign language. Adrian stared at him. She's never learned sign language. The doctor swallowed. It appears she is now. But how? Adrian whispered, horror creeping into his voice. Who taught her? Luciana's trembling hands repeated the sign again and again, insistently. She's trying to tell us something, Dr. Vales murmured, but none of us here know how to understand her. Adrian felt the ground shift under him. His daughter wasn't screaming for no reason. She wasn't seeing things. She was trying to communicate. But with what? Or who? Luciana suddenly grabbed Adrian's wrist, her fingers digging into his skin. Then she pointed at the corner again, not looking away, not blinking, utterly terrified. A cold chill swept down Adrian's spine. He tightened his hold on her and whispered, I promise, baby, whoever or whatever is hurting you, I will find a way to understand. But in the back of his mind, he feared something else. What if the thing she was signing about wasn't in that corner? What if it was inside her? The following morning, sunlight flooded the Valdez estate, but it didn't warm anything inside it. Not the cold marble floors, not the silent hallways, not Adrian's heart. Luciana sat at the breakfast table with untouched pancakes in front of her. She didn't lift her fork. Her eyes remained distant, as though she wasn't really there. Every few seconds, her fingers twitched, small movements, almost invisible, but repeating the same shapes over and over. The same sign she had made last night. I've contacted every interpreter in Polano, Adrian said, pacing behind her chair. None are available, or willing. They've heard rumors about the screaming, the episodes. He hated that word. It made his daughter sound like a problem instead of a child. Dr. Vales sat across from Luciana, watching her hands. It's beyond basic sign. She's using a combination of gestures not typically taught to beginners. Someone with experience is needed. Experience. Adrian muttered. She hasn't spoken in 3 years. When would she have met anyone who could teach her sign language? She barely leaves this estate. Even saying out loud made the mansion feel like a prison. Luciana froze suddenly, fingers pausing midair. Then her hand lifted and pointed to the window. Both men turned. A girl stood outside the iron gates. Small, quiet, maybe 14. Brown hair pulled into a loose braid. She wore a simple jacket too thin for the morning chill. Her backpack hung off one shoulder, patched with colorful fabric squares. What the hell? Adrian started toward the window. Luciana slammed her palms on the table, hard enough that the plates rattled. Her eyes flew wide. She made another sign, sharp, clear, urgent. What does that mean? Adrian snapped, heart racing. I don't know, Dr. Vales admitted, but it's deliberate, intentional. Luciana slid off the chair, rushing to the window. She pressed her palms to the glass, staring at the girl outside as though watching a miracle. Then she signed again, faster, desperate. Adrian ran outside immediately. 2 guards had already approached the girl, who didn't seem intimidated. She wasn't crying. She wasn't scared. She simply looked calm, comfortable, even. Let her through, Adrian commanded. The guard stepped aside. The girl looked up at him with steady eyes. Mr. Valdez? Yes, he said, still breathless. Who are you? Why are you here? My name is Maya Santos, she said softly. I got a message. Adrian stiffened. A message? From who? Maya pointed past him, toward the window where Luciana stood. From her. Adrian felt the air leave his lungs. What do you mean from her? She doesn't talk. She doesn't need to, Maya said. She signs. Adrian stared in confusion. You know sign language? Maya nodded. I was born deaf. I only recently got implants, so I can hear now, but sign language was my first language. Adrian's heart raced. And my daughter somehow contacted you? Maya hesitated. Not exactly. But sometimes deaf kids develop instinctive gesture patterns, especially when they're scared and don't know formal sign yet. I can recognize some of that. Adrian blinked. How? How could she know you'd come? Maya looked past him again, right at Luciana, who was still pressed against the window. She's been trying to talk to someone who can understand, Maya whispered. And I felt something, like someone calling for help. It kept me awake all night. I don't know how to explain it. Luciana began banging softly on the glass. Urgent. Maya stepped forward immediately. The girl entered the house with quiet footsteps, her eyes absorbing everything but seeming unfazed by the mansion's grandeur. When she reached the dining room, Luciana burst into tears, silent tears, her hand shaking as she signed rapidly. Maya watched, her face softening. She knelt down to match Luciana's height. Slow down, she whispered. It's okay. I'm here. Luciana took a shaky breath and repeated the signs more clearly. Maya's eyes widened. Adrian stepped forward. What is she telling you? Maya swallowed hard. She says, Maya began slowly, that she's not screaming because she's scared of something in her room. Adrian felt his stomach drop. Maya continued, voice trembling. She's screaming because she's warning you. Warning me of what? Adrian demanded. Luciana made another sign, one that Maya instantly translated. She says, someone comes into her room every night. Adrian felt like the ground had collapsed beneath him. No, he whispered. No one enters. The room is locked, guarded, monitored. Luciana shook her head violently. She signed again, tears rolling faster. Not someone. Something. Something that doesn't use doors. Adrian felt cold dread crawl up his spine. What does that mean? What's coming into her room? Maya's voice cracked as she interpreted. She says, it stands in the corner. Adrian's knees went weak. Luciana's next sign was even worse. It says her name, Maya whispered, in a voice she recognizes. Adrian staggered. Recognizes. Luciana nodded, eyes filling with fresh terror. Her hands moved slowly this time, as if afraid to even say it. Maya choked on the translation. She says it sounds like her mother. Silence fell like a blade. Adrian felt a pain he hadn't felt in years, sharp, brutal. His wife's death had shattered him. But now, her mother is gone, he whispered. She can't be hearing her. Luciana signed again. More tears, more shaking. Maya spoke in a trembling whisper. She says it's not her mother. It just pretend to be. Adrian grabbed the edge of the table to steady himself. Dr. Voles looked pale. Mr. Valdez, this is beyond psychiatry. Luciana made one final sign. Slow, deliberate, her eyes locked on her father. Maya froze. What? Adrian asked. What is it? Maya hesitated as fear filled her eyes. She says the thing in the corner told her it's coming back tonight. Luciana pressed her face against Adrian's chest, sobbing silently. He held her tightly, but his arms couldn't stop his own trembling. Then Maya added, voice barely audible, and she says it's coming for you too. A cold wind whispered to the mansion, rattling the crystal chandelier above them. It was still daytime, but night was coming, and whatever waited in the corner of Luciana's room was on its way.